Welcome to Homegrown Wealth, where we're turning real estate knowledge into lasting prosperity. In this episode, we're talking about the home selling process, when you know it's time to sell, how to prepare your home, and the listing process. And to help me shed some light on these questions and topics, I have two past clients with me, still current clients. I love all my clients, and we're always connected. So I have Evvie Harmon and I have Val Martin. During the listing process going up, what were things that you appreciated as far as me being your agent, or just the fact, because did you two even interview other agents or talk to other agents? And like you said, Evvie, your stepmother was an agent. So what were some standout things that were important to you that you appreciated during the process of selling and buying?
So I'll go first on that. So I knew you prior to, and I know that you were always for your person. You were always for your person. Being that I already have a business in Greenwood, and I come in contact with other people, they were always saying, girl, go with Jill, because she ain't gonna let them get nothing over on you now. So it was always, I knew you took care of your client. I always knew you took care of your clients. And I heard it in the community, and I was like, you know what? I already know Jill. I'm gonna go with Jill because, you know, Jill's a friend of the family, and plus I'm already hearing good things about it. And I know other realtors. I really do. My aunt is a realtor. And I said, I'm gonna go with Jill. Jill is local. She's gonna be there. I can call her when I need her, and Jill's gonna respond. Jill responded every time I call her. Even if Jill was out of town, Val, I'm out of town, but let me tell you what you need to do. Blah, blah, blah. It don't matter what it was. Jill answered me, and Jill did what she had to do at all costs. All costs. When even though I was like, Jill, I don't know, I think you need to ask them about such and such. I don't want to ask. I'll do it. Jill is not scared to open her mouth to speak. That's what I liked about you. That you always had my back in anything.
Oh, thank you. No, but it's important, y'all. What I found, so I don't really talk about this, but I was always torn when I became a real estate agent. I didn't know if I wanted to go lender route, because I'm gonna tell you, I do love the financing, and I guess that's why I can give like a little bit more background on it sometimes. Not everything in depth, but I know a little bit more. And I really did. I wanted to either be a lender, or I was like, should I be an agent? And I remember talking with a lender and an agent, and I think the determining factor with me was, it's not so much predatory loans, because after like the whole housing bubble, 2008 through 2011, like those predatory loans, I mean,
they're not legal anymore.
They're not legal, but they're not happening as often, but you really should know keywords to listen for when it comes to that. What I found was that people were getting into homes and they had significant repairs, and their agent was not going to bat to try to get these repairs done, or telling them like, hey, look, walk, you know, if they're not willing to do this, like, let's walk, let's get your earnest money back. Let's walk. And I would tell some agents, because I've had agents tell me like, well, we're not going to release the earnest money. I'll give it back to them, but we're not staying in this. So do you want to fix it and go forward, or do you want to go back on the market and tell people it's because you had this significant repair that you didn't want to take care of? Either way works for me and my clients.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing I'm very big on. So I always found that it was the issues of, they would get into a house, you're trying to pay a mortgage, here comes this big major repair, you can't afford to fix it. So then you get discouraged, you let the house go down, you stop paying the mortgage, here comes foreclosure, your credit's ruined, and you're having to wait. And I really wanted to change that narrative for some people. And that was my big why on going more towards the agent side than the lender side.
So I did not know you prior to bringing you on as my agent, which was, 5 years ago. That's hard to believe.
I know.
But my mama always taught me, you know, pay attention to the company people keep, right? Because your friends, the people that you associate with, are a reflection on who you are as a person as well. So Teresa Goodman at Community Initiatives worked with you to purchase their space. And when I told her that we were moving to Greenwood and did she have any suggestions for a real estate agent, she said, I mean, I'm going to give you the only suggestion that I think you need to go with. Feel free to ask around, but like, you can take it from me that you don't need to. You need Jillian Coleman. So I was like, okay, hook me up with her number. And she did. And I called you and I said, Teresa, told me to reach out. I need to sell and buy a house. And we got together, I think within like 48 hours of that phone call. You asked me a whole bunch of questions, stuff that I was like, does this even have to do with buying or selling houses? You're like, I promise it's relevant. And then a week or so after that, you were showing me houses. We were getting my other house renovated, or not a slap of
ready,
on the wall. Yeah, like ready for selling. And then a couple weeks after that, I was out of my old house and into my new house. So it was just a really seamless transition. I didn't want for anything. I felt like you were always there when I needed you. And same thing. Yeah. He's like, I'm on vacation. But like, you just had to stop with I'm on vacation. Like, tell me when you come back. We'll talk about it. But she was already doing it and, giving me what I needed. So if you're in the Greenwood, Greenville, Spartanburg, that greater upstate area, this is who you need. Exactly.
Thank you. I appreciate
she did not pay
that.
us for this, by the way.
No, I definitely wanted to, because I know that I help you both buy and sell. And I know that is a thing that a lot of people want to do. And I know that some people just really get scared about that process. I'll be honest, it's like some of my favorite transactions. I don't know why. The more high stress it is, the more I just want to do it.
We're getting ready to do it again.
I know. And I'm just like,
for a year.
I don't know why, but I always tell people, like, look, there are ways around it, because, hey, had you found a home that you wanted to purchase in the midst of selling your home, then we could have worked it out to where possibly maybe some stuff was left in the garage up until moving day. There's always ways around trying to work that out with making that transition. And I think that's what gets people scared. But I mean, when I say I've come up with some scenarios over the years, I've had some scenarios. And like Evvie, you were fortunate because, like you said, Ben had the first house in his name. You put the second house in your name. And it was just like, hey, we're just merging this together. And that's what it is. Like, just one big move, one big swift move. So that was actually a blessing. So I'm just really big on helping people ease their mind around it, because I think people get nervous and they get scared. And let's talk about proceeds. Now, we're not going to talk exact numbers or anything, but was it important to you that you had to make a certain number in order to want to sell?
I didn't have a certain number in mind. Obviously, I didn't want to lose money. We'd only lived in that house that we sold for 3 years, and we sold it for $65,000 more than we bought it for in 3 years. We put solar panels on it, which was $28,000, and we did some other repairs. And then when we shook the math out, even after all that, we basically lived for free for 3 years. The amount of money that we netted divided by how much our mortgage was over those 3 years basically washed it to zero. And when I thought about it that way, I was like, who gets to live rent free for 3 years? And I'm kind of in the same situation now. If we sell my house that I'm currently in for what it's worth, and based on what I bought it 4 years ago, I will have actually made money to live in Greenwood, to live in my house. Like, I got paid to live in my house if we sell it for what you're telling me it's worth now. So I think that in itself is a huge proponent for home ownership. I mean, when people say it is the safest investment you can make, I truly believe it, because my experience with owning houses, I've never owned a house for longer than 4 years. And in both of my experiences, I've lived for nothing, like basically a decade. I've lived for free. That's crazy.
It's a beautiful feeling.
It is a beautiful thing. And I didn't give that money away to somebody else, and there's a lot to be said. I rented for years. There's a lot to be said for not having the responsibility, or if something breaks, something big, your roof is shot and you need a $15,000 roof. That's not your problem if you rent. I understand that. But at the same time, if you're in a financial space to where you can, afford to have that risk in your life, I think it's completely worth it.
Thank you for saying that, because I think that a lot of people get hung up on. I think people think everything's going to break down all at once when it comes to a home. And I'm like, that's not really the way it goes, because, you get your home inspection, You know what the current issues are. You ask the seller to fix those current issues. You negotiate those repairs. Now, at the closing, things do happen. It is possible that things weren't picked up at the time of the inspection. Between closing and Evvie, I was about to say, I know you know that firsthand.
Homeowner's inspection and roof inspection, neither one of them caught that the roof needed to be replaced. We had to replace the roof within 6 weeks of moving in. That was a bit of a gut punch. But even if I take the brand new $13,000 roof into account, I'm still coming out aces if I sell it for what it's worth. So like I said, as long as you've got the access to either a line of credit or, you know, just savings that you've got, or maybe you've got money in the market that you can pull out without penalties. If you've got that sort of financial stability underneath you, or maybe you're like a really rich uncle that likes you or something, like whatever, then it is, I truly think it's worth the risk, even if your roof does end up having to be replaced 6 weeks after you buy it.
And I'm glad. I'm so glad, because we replaced our septic tank literally 2 weeks.
And you think it's the end of the world when it happens.
I know. Like, I'm sitting in a chair and I hear gurgling coming from our bedroom. And I'm like, what is that? Because Fifth was taking a shower upstairs. And yeah, it backed up into the pipes. Okay, so we had to replace our septic. We had to, the pool pump went out literally the day after closing. Pool pump just went dead, out of warranty. It was something else that happened. And I had to ask Raymond, I'm like, are you mad at me? Because, you know, I really wanted this house. And, you know, we done had stuff that happened, you know, after we got the house. You know, like, yeah, I'm just like, you know, are you feeling some, you know, some resentment towards me? Because I'm sorry. And he was like, no, he said, you know, it sucks. It happens. But at least we're in a position to where we can get things taken care of. And now we know the maintenance on it and how to keep it up, because our house did have just a little bit of deferred maintenance. It wasn't a lot, but it was some stuff that we knew that we were going to go in and do. Septic tank wasn't one of them. And I know you're a realtor, y'all. I take care of my clients on my own transaction, because I was running 3 others at the time. It was just certain stuff. I was like, oh, it should be all right. Like, it should be good. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
I probably shouldn't do this, but my husband, the dentist, doesn't floss every day, so I get it. He brushes.
No, I totally get it.
Get stuck.
So I really do appreciate you too. And what I want is for each one of you to give maybe a potential home seller, buyer, one key piece of advice that you think would really help them make that decision.
Mine is, don't jump too fast. Listen to your realtor, because they are the experts. We are not. We are not. I just, you know, you think you know everything, but you don't. Don't listen to all these YouTubes and these reels and these videos that they got out, because that may not be your situation. Listen to your realtor that knows you, know what you have going on, and they're going to give you the best advice, not social media.
Thank you for saying that.
I completely agree with that. Your Wall Street BFF that has like 5 million followers probably isn't looking out for your best interests.
Exactly.
Like your real estate agent that you can tangibly like sit across the table from and talk to. I would echo that and say, you know, do your due diligence when it comes to finding a real estate agent, because like every profession, not every real estate agent, they're not all created equal for a variety of reasons. So make sure that you're finding one that's got a great reputation, that has a long list of people that will vouch for them, referrals. Like, just talk to your people in your community, right? Yeah. I wouldn't even necessarily trust Google reviews as much as I would talk just getting out there and like talking to people. And then once you find that person, be their disciple. Like you said, they're the expert. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to come to you about skincare, but I will you. Because you're the expert. I'm not going to come to you about real estate because you're not the expert, but I will you. So I think we have the same advice, and I'm sorry for that. I feel like we should give different advice, but I feel like that's the most important thing. Amen, sister.
That's right. I appreciate you two coming in today and discussing home buying and home selling with potential people, with my viewers. And I just want to thank you once again because y'all really are the best. And like I said, we still talk, we still keep in contact. Evvie, we about to do this thing over again. Val, I know you kind of there, but hey, we still talk, we still see each other. And to me, that's important because I always make sure I just really get to know and take care of my clients. It's not one that I couldn't see in public and we couldn't hold a conversation. So I really do love that. I love the relationships that I do form, and I appreciate you too.
We appreciate you. Well, thanks for having us.
I have included information about listing your home in my home selling guide difference. It walks you through the process of selling your home with me. Click the link below and you'll be able to download it for free. All right, so it's Q&A time. So we're gonna respond to some questions about selling your home. What happens after I close on my home? Payment, insurance, etc. So when you close on your own home, the attorney pretty much handles the mortgage payoff that you have in place, because they're going to call and they're going to get that at least a day or two before closing, so they have the correct balance to pay off per the date of closing. They're going to pay off that mortgage for you. They either wire the difference or they give you a check for the difference of your proceeds. The only thing you really need to do is call and cancel your homeowner's insurance. And sometimes, depending on where you are, you might get some money back, or, you know, hey, it's a wash. Typically, right before closing, we prefer that you leave utilities on. It just makes it easier for the buyer to transfer utilities into their name, especially with everything being so automated now. But if you do decide to cut them off, we always try to give the buyer enough time to say, hey, like, you may want to go ahead and set up a transfer. But if they're going to be a week out, a month out or so, then yes, you do need to go ahead and set up termination of utilities in your name. Fair Housing Act allowed for more access to home ownership in the Black community. However, culturally, Black people have stayed in the same home. So we now have the chance as Black and brown people to play the equity game. And this means that you can move out of your starter home into a larger second home. Or let's say this, you're already in your larger second home, you move up in income, you're making more money. Why not desire more luxury in a home? It's nothing wrong with that. And I think as Black and brown people, we're so used to saying, hey, we're so scared that people have taken things for us for so long. We're scared to let go of what we currently have because we're afraid we may lose it and lose out on something else. I've also dealt with clients who self-sabotage. They feel like good things are not meant to happen to them, or if good things start to happen, something comes along and ruins that for them. And we have to get out that mentality of thinking. It really hurts us. And the only way to really get started with equity is to start to own. And once you own, you move up, you get something else. Or hey, by the time you get of age and you're ready to retire, you can sell your bigger home and use the cash to purchase something smaller and live mortgage free. So it's all about how you look at it. What benefits you when it comes to playing the equity game? So let's discuss the takeaways. The home selling process is less stressful when you know why you're moving and all the pieces that go along with moving. And you have a good real estate agent to help guide you through this process. Now that you're aware of what goes into selling your home, let's talk about some of the takeaways I want you to have from this episode. So there are 3. So the first is really consider why you want to move. Do you want more or less space? What about, is it too much upkeep? Are you wanting to downsize on maintenance? Or are you just looking to build equity? What's important in your why when moving? 2, prepare your home to get the best offer. And I think this is the part that a lot of people feel is just a lot. And I always tell my clients, stop thinking you know what the buyer wants. I work with them every day. Please let me guide you, because I've seen people waste money on the wrong things when it comes to getting their home ready for the market, and it didn't benefit them. It didn't bring them a return. Please listen to your trusted real estate agent. Number 3, understanding the listing process, and hire a real estate agent who can guide you through this process. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm really big on communication, so I'm always going to stay in contact. And I found over the years, not giving you so much up front but giving you information as we go through this process has just been way more beneficial, and a lot of clients have retained it a whole lot better. So it's really important to find someone that communicates the way you want to be communicated with, and it's going to stay on top of things, and it's going to keep you informed every step of the way. So thank you for tuning into Homegrown Wealth. Make sure that you subscribe and follow. I look forward to giving you more information. And if you know someone who is thinking about selling or should sell, shoot them this episode. It might help them out.